So this will be happening in every single session this summer. Every single lecture will be recorded. But as I said with my email, please still show up. Huge part of learning is being in class and interactive in the moment. Now, some people can't because, they have work and all sorts of stuff. Nicole, hi, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. You're probably dialing in through your phone. So, do. Cool. This online stuff is crazy. I've had to learn so much over the last year and a half with online teaching. Let's see here. As I was saying, yeah, so some people just can't make it on every single lecture, and it's okay. It is what it is. I can't really do anything about it. But please, if you have the ability to be here, because the type of teacher that I am is I want you guys participating. I'm going to be asking you guys, I don't know, sometimes I'll ask you guys a question a minute. And what I'll ask are easy, short answer questions like yes and no. I normally go yes, no, or increase, decrease, no change. Let me look at the list. Who here took me for AMP1? I'm seeing a few people whose names I recognize, but I think I'm just recognizing them through text. Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be a new experience for most of you guys. I'm not just your typical teacher. I'm not just going to sit and lecture at you guys. I'm going to be throwing questions at you constantly. I want you guys to learn, and I want you guys to have a little bit of fun while you're doing it, okay? So I'm going to give you tons of real life examples. Here's a person with this sort of disease. How, here are their symptoms, and why does the physiology that you're learning, why does that matter? Right? How is it going to predict those symptoms that you're going to be seeing in your patients? And I think that's one of the most important things to learn, because you're not going to remember crap from this class in a year. You're not going to remember anything from this class in like 3 months. Well, that's not true. There'll be a few things that I'm going to force you guys to learn so much. You're going to be regurging them sometime later. But let's go ahead and kind of use this chat. Go ahead and write down, what field are you guys trying to get into? Oh, wow. MD right off the bat. Nursing, awesome. PT, that's great. Sonography, awesome. PA, proud of you, Jen. That PA, I'm going to have to go through and do attendance here, but help me. Is it Ruju or Ruhu? I'm guessing Ruju.
Yeah, it's Ruju.
Ruju, perfect. PA, great choice, by the way. Dental hygiene. So I got my one dental hygiene. And Melissa, yeah, you texted me about cancer tumor registrar. That's really cool. So I got one dental hygiene, one sonography. You guys both know you have to get an A in this class. MD, obviously A in this class. Just no ifs and or buts. PA, most likely. So you guys are going to be fighting and kicking, screaming for your A's, and I know that. And I want to help you. I want to support you, and I want you guys to leave this class with the knowledge. Everybody, nursing, everybody. I want you guys to leave this class with the knowledge, and enough knowledge about learning that learning later becomes easier. Is that clear? Yes, no? So just type a Y or an N. You don't even have to write out yes and no. That's the most important thing to me teaching. It's not to make you guys memorize a bunch of little bits, although you still will. You have to. That's part of learning. But it's how you use it that makes you a better student, and it makes you a better career person. Cool. So what we're going to do is something a little bit different, but I keep finding that students aren't paying attention on syllabus day, because who does? And so I made up a little PowerPoint, and I'm hoping that it's very short. It's not a crazy big PowerPoint, and I'm hoping that it helps with some of the retention of some of the syllabus knowledge that students ask me the same questions throughout the semester over and over and over. I guess before we do that, let me give you a little blurb about myself. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. I started college back in 1995, long time ago. And I didn't finish college until, well, really it was about 2000 and I guess 10? Gosh, when did I finish my postdoc? So, yeah, I've been in school a long time, and now I'm still in school, right? Because I'm a teacher, and teachers are constantly learning. I'm learning from my students. You guys ask me questions I don't know the answer to, so I'm constantly learning them. So, you can just call me a lifelong student. And I know what it's like to be a student, and I try to teach with that perspective. Like, would I have wanted this when I was a student? And if the answer is no, I try not to do it. So my undergrad is actually in wildlife biology, and I have another undergrad in natural resource management and another undergrad in range management. So I was a little extreme. But my passion was wildlife, and I did quite a few years of everything from studies on porcupines and nutritional values and American kestrels and all sorts of crazy stuff with wildlife, but I ended up focusing primarily on grizzly bears. And I studied them for multiple years out in the wilderness, and you're going to hear a bunch of stories about grizzly bears and moose and stuff through the semester if I find the time to talk about them, because they are pertinent to the physiology, otherwise I wouldn't do it. And when I got done with that, I realized that there wasn't a whole heck of a lot I can do and actually make money. Wildlife biologists make peanuts. It's ridiculous that they don't get paid. But that's why I ended up jumping. Oh yeah, so yeah, I'm from Alaska. Most of my family still lives up in Alaska. So that's kind of why I am the way that I am. I'm a little bizarre. But Alaska is all about community, and they don't care about, where you're from, or they won't ask you. They won't ask you your background. They just want to know that you're going to help them survive. So it's kind of a bizarre life up there. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I jumped ship from wildlife, and I went to study neuroscience, but I still wanted to stick with the whole idea of why wildlife does what they do. Okay, they do what they do because of the environment that they're in and how well they eat. And so my neuroscience background, of course, I studied the brain in a lot of detail. I taught neuroanatomy for about 5 years to the pre-meds and to the veterinary students. So I love neuroanatomy, but my focus was how the brain communicates with the stomach and how the stomach communicates with the brain and how both of those also communicate with fat. So really deep into the digestive system, which we're going to talk a lot about this semester. Probably one of the most important, parasympathetic nervous system input, but there's more going on there than that. There's a lot of hormonal stuff that goes on. It was a great time, but I ended up changing again for my PhD, and I got my PhD in cardiophysiology. I have a heart condition, so I wanted to study more about the heart, and I started looking at heart failure. And so I ended up going down and getting my PhD in cardiophysiology. And then I did something different for my postdoc, because you're supposed to, and I studied cancer research, prostate metastasis to the bone, and a few other things. But you can see that my background's pretty diverse, and I try to, yeah, exactly, Melissa. I really was interested in that aspect of the world. But I really try to bring all of these experiences that I've had into my teaching, and I hope you guys are able to see that this semester. But I always like to do that little just brief background so that you guys can know that there's a real person over here. I commiserate with you. This is not going to be easy. It's A&P2, hardest class of most people's college career. It was the hardest earned A- I ever earned. You guys don't have to worry about A- because you're at ACC, of course, solid grades. But I am going to go ahead and I am going to share my screen with you over here, get you off of me, and I put together a little syllabus PowerPoint presentation. Oh, it is going to be 8 weeks, and it's going to be a fast 8 weeks. I hope you guys are ready for 8 weeks of focus. Can I get a whoop whoop? Can I get a yes? Focus for 8 weeks. I know it's summer. I know it is. But this is what you guys signed up for, right? It's going to be intense. We got 4 days a week of getting to know one another, 2 days a week of 3-hour labs. So we're going to be together for quite a few hours every single week. And I hope you guys can become comfortable with me very, very soon and reach out and ask questions. I haven't had the whole class text me yet, so I will end up giving you my phone number, and I'm hoping that you guys, every single one of you, just text me your name and say hello, just to start, just to get the conversation going. So write down your full name, the name that you want me to call you in class, and just say hello. And that'll get the conversation going so that throughout the semester, you guys can ask me questions. I am a coffee drinker, pretty avid. And I hope you guys make sure to take care of yourself in the morning, whether it's tea, caffeinate yourself, or whether you're just pure and you eat your food and all that sort of stuff. But come with your brains ready to go. I need everybody to come with their brains as focused as possible on a given day. So please, please, please. I saw this meme and I just had to throw this in here. Who's this kid? It's my first day of kindergarten. Who's this kid? I hate school and I refuse to hold a sign unless I said I hate school. I'm hoping that since you guys are mostly going into the medical profession, most of you guys are over here on the left. I want to know who's left and who's right. L versus R. Love it. Be honest. Yeah, okay, cool. Jen, thank you. Honesty is a key here. I'm hoping that I change some of you guys' minds, Parker. It's true. It's true. Yeah, so Andrea, I was kind of that way too. And it's actually a pretty important lesson for you all to learn. And I actually, I don't tell this story every semester, but my my freshman year roommate at university, at Washington State University, was I don't know, he's life-changing for me. I was going to classes, and they're all the first-year classes, and they're boring, and like history and economics and crap like that. And I remember coming back home, and I was angry again. I'm like, I hate class. Why am I doing this? What's the point of going and taking an economics class that I'm never going to use? And this guy, BJ Shade, I'll never forget him. He looked at me, and he was just like, dude, find something in every class that you're taking that you like. Just one thing. That's all it takes, dude. Just one thing. Stop focusing on what's bad and start focusing on what's good. Even if it's, a good-looking girl in the front seat, just figure it out, man. Find a way to go to class. And when you go to class and you focus on what's positive, then the rest of the class starts becoming positive. And he was right, 100% right. And I started doing that more in life. And I started using that for a lot of other things besides school. And it's really helped me have a positive focus on life. And I'd love for you guys all to take a small piece of that and see if it works for you. All right. This is the truth. Normally we'd be at Round Rock. So in the future, once we're up and running in the fall, even, you guys feel free to stop by and introduce yourself and say hi if you feel the need. This class lecture is 9 to 10:20. I know it says something a little bit different. I can't remember what time it says, but we're going to be going from 9 to about 10:20, sometimes 10:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's going to be pretty crazy. And then Mondays and Wednesdays, we got 10:30 to 1 o'clock. Normally, on a normal schedule, I'm not sure why it's not like this summer, but I would have until 1:20. So a lot of my stuff is prepped to 1:20. Yeah, we'll be using a lot of our time in lab. There'll be days you guys going to leave early, and there'll be days that we're going to go to the last second. Again, we try to make it as interactive as possible. So it's not just going to be me sitting there lecturing. It's going to be interactive drag and drop anatomy lessons, stuff like that, where I'll be moving these little words around the screen and you guys are going to be telling me where they go, so it won't be as boring as it can be. Is everybody clear on the times for this class? So please set these times away as best as you can. Thank you. I've seen this picture for years and I love it. I've seen it on other professors' doors. It's so true. I have office hours, y'all. They're over here on the right. We'll get to that in just a second. This is my cell phone number. I sent it out in an email and I was trying to see who's reading their emails and actually paying attention. I think I got like 10 of you to answer. If that was you, thank you. If it wasn't you, let's work on that. Okay, I'm trying to give you guys information through the semester that will help you. No, I never changed the number. I've had this number for 20 years. So you can contact me later. You can contact me in 20 years from now to let me know how life is and what's going on. I've never had a problem, and I don't think I ever will, because nobody can call me on this, right? This is for texting purposes only. I don't want to hear about your lives. I love you all already immensely. I don't really want to know all about your personal life. I want to know what questions you have about physiology. Now, that being said, if something's coming up and you do need to, not make it to class for whatever reason, just let me know. And you could let me know via text. You can also do email, but normally if you email me, send me a text that says, I sent you an email. Because I don't check my email on the regular, and I just want to be honest with you about that. Is that clear to everybody? Like, there'll be days where I don't check my email. I don't know why, but I have an aversion to checking emails. I think it's because with a student, who here has ever written that page-long email to a professor and you get like 3 words back? Raise your hand. Thank you, Alyssa, for literally raising your hand online. Or if you've ever written that email to a professor and you break down your question into multiple paragraphs, and then they have to go through and answer each one of your questions in multiple paragraphs that are very disconnected, they don't make sense, and it's really frustrating. To me, it was always extremely frustrating, and I have an aversion to it because of that. But in a text, you just take a screenshot of the homework question, or you just take a screenshot of whatever's bothering you, or you just send me a quick text that says, I don't understand XYZ. And what I can do is I'll go, all right, in my brain, I'm going, what do they understand and what don't they understand? And so I can text you a question that relates to something from an earlier part of a lecture. Does that make sense? And I can try to get you on track. What I find is that students almost always actually know the answer. They just don't know how to get to the answer. Does that make sense? And so they don't need me to answer it for them in an email. They need me to lead them to the answer and learn while they do it. Is that clear? I'm not sure if I'm making sense. Sometimes I don't know. Perfect. And that's what's so great about text, is that text allows for a conversation that is not, it's not possible with an email. So please text me when you have questions. You'll find that I'm really responsive. You can text me 24/7. Yes, I said that. Like if it's 3 a.m., text me. Am I going to answer at 3 a.m.? Probably not. But the great part about that is that the second that I'm able, I will text you back. Who here has been studying at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning? Because that's when we study, I know. You have a question. You have a question, and you're like, I need to ask Dr. So-and-so this. Yeah, 11 p.m., whatever it is. I need to ask Dr. So-and-so this question. Gosh, Alyssa. And then, I've never been to bed at 9 in my life, I don't think. I wish. But then you just, the next morning rolls around and you're like, no, my question's not important. Does that make sense? You guys know what I'm talking about? That question's not important. You're like, you start to doubt whether your question even meant anything. And then you start to doubt how to even put your question into words. Just text me when you have the question. I'll get back to you when I have a chance. Don't worry about what time of the day it is. Is that clear? All right, awesome. So office hours are technically Tuesday and Thursday after class. Now, again, send me a text and say, Dr. H, let's meet up. I can meet up during this time or it's freaking online, y'all. I can meet up at 9 p.m. I can meet up at 11 p.m. I can meet up at not 7 a.m. I'm not a good waker, but we'll figure out a time that we can both meet up. Is that clear? And then we're just going to meet on Collaborate, the same space here. But what you'll meet up on, let me pull this over, is what you'll notice is that in Collaborate, there's office hours. Did I just glitch out on you guys? Okay, you can still see? Cool. I just have a weird little thing on my side. Yeah, I can get voice texts. What's going on there? Okay. But anyway, so there's a Collaborate tab here called Office Hours, and you'll just click on that and you'll meet me over in Collaborate. Okay? Where am I at? I'm here. All right, so are there any questions about this page? It should be pretty straightforward. Don't wait until week 7 to text me, please. Text me with your questions as soon as you have them. Now, in your syllabus, I noticed that it says optional textbook. Somebody texted me, I can't remember who that was, but thank you so much for texting me asking optional versus required. I typically like requiring textbooks, but with the online format, it's been tough to require a textbook. And the reality is I'm not requiring a particular textbook. I kind of have to, like legally, I kind of can only give you guys one option, which is pretty ridiculous. I love this textbook. It's one of the better anatomy and physiology textbooks, but you don't need to use this one. If you guys have any textbook at all, any physiology textbook, use it. I could teach from any textbook. So if you have Marib or Silverthorne or whatever you got, some older version that somebody gave you, it's a good enough base. It's a good enough background information that I can teach you from basically just my lectures. Does that make sense? You don't have to have this textbook. I think most students that are real students already know that. Like, I don't, why do they force me to buy that textbook? I was always frustrated with that when I was a student. I could have got that one for $100 cheaper. And nowadays you guys have so many options. There's so many online free textbooks, open source textbooks, stuff like that. You guys can use those. If you need help finding those open source resources, just let me know. They're out there. Any questions on the textbook? It is technically optional. I know I texted back to that person that it was required, but I think they are. I hope, anyways. It's because I had it in my syllabus. I'm not going to go back and change it. In my mind, I thought I'd change that. There are withdrawal dates. I hope you guys never feel this. Therefore, the need to drop my class. I hope you don't, but these are important dates for you guys to know. Add drops, I mean, immediately. Official reporting date, June 16th, and I have to basically report that you've attended class. So those that text me that say they're working and they can't make it to class, you're safe. But this is also the last day that you guys can drop without a W. You guys know those W's on your transcripts. You could only have so many W's on your scripts, the withdrawals on your transcripts. So try to make sure that if you are going to withdraw, that you do it before this date. And then basically the last day to withdraw from the summer session is after the summer session is over, which is pretty funny. So you can find your final grade and you can still drop this class and get a W. Fair enough? You guys see these dates? They're important dates for you guys to know. All right, and now to the only slide that you all actually care about. How do I earn my grade? And what's the schedule, Dr. H? Here it is. Okay, this is all on the syllabus, and it can change through the semester. Just depends on y'all. Most of it is going to be pretty consistent. There are 4 lecture exams that are a part of your grade. We'll get back to that in just a second. Nope, not yet, Melissa. That's here. I'll be going to that. Yes, the comp is it's a very challenging required exam, but we'll get back to that in just a second. So there are 4 lecture exams that are a part of your grade. You will have 5 exams, including a required comp final that's going to be due July 25th, the last possible day of class at midnight. That's when it's due. You can get it done anytime during the last, ish week. Even the 22nd if you want, you can kind of get it done through that time. We'll get there in just a second, Alyssa. Good question. Very good question. 1 second. So you have 5 total exams. Each one is worth 150 points, but how many will be counted towards your final grade, y'all? Good. So these are the sorts of questions that I ask. So go ahead and get your fingers near those the keyboard and be ready to type up stuff. I'm trying to make sure that you guys are learning on day one, because how many times have I been asked through the years that I've been teaching about tests and exams and points? A billion times. How many times have I answered them at the beginning of the semester already before they've texted me? A billion times. So please try to pay attention. I'm answering questions you guys will have typically later. So the way this works is you have 5 exams. I will drop your lowest exam grade. If the lowest exam grade is final, I just drop it. So it's required to your grade. Does that make sense? Because if it's your lowest test, it gets dropped. The idea of the comp final is not to punish you guys. It's hard. But the idea of the comp final is to see if you guys, 1, have learned through the semester, and 2, where do I want to go with this number 2? Really, it's to see what you guys have learned, but it's to allow you to challenge yourself, I guess, is where I was trying to get at. It's allowing you to challenge yourself to what you've learned through the semester. So don't stress about it, but say, for instance, you just bomb 1 exam. Maybe it's Unit 2 exam. Look, you can fix it. You got a comp final. What if you miss an exam? Look, you can fix it. You got a comp final. You don't need to drop the class. So there are ways to use that to your advantage, okay? Every single lecture exam will be associated with one homework. So you only have 4 units, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4. Therefore, you only have 4 homework. I don't like minutia. You have enough minutia related to lab. So you don't need a ton of minutia just keeping you up late at night in terms of homework. You don't need a homework assignment every single day. You should be self-motivated to study. I shouldn't have to make you study using homework all the time. So there's 4 homework assignments. Each homework assignment, go ahead, get ready to write this down, please. Each homework assignment is always due the Saturday before the exam at 6 p.m. No if or buts, right? No and if or buts. There we go. Each homework is always due the Saturday at 6 p.m. before your exams. The exams are always due Sunday at midnight. There is both a lecture exam and a lab practical. All right, let's test your short-term memory. Get those fingers on the on the keyboard. What day, except for the lecture, what day will most lecture exams be due by? Oh, Zuhar, trying to predict my question. Sunday at midnight. Good. Sunday at midnight. Now, what about homework? When is homework always due? Except for the very last one. Saturday. And what time? What time? Let's throw that in. Make sure the time there. Good. 6 p.m. There shouldn't be a Dr. H, I thought the homework was due at midnight. Oh, can I get an extension on the homework? I can't extend the homework because at 6 p.m. the answers are released. Why do I make your homework due the day before the exam? Is the answers are released so that you guys can study them. Exactly, Sharon. Perfect. So if you ask me at 7 p.m. on Saturday for me to open that homework back up for you, well, you already have the answers. So I can't do it. It's not fair to the rest of the class. Does that make sense? It breaks my heart when people do that. But here's my deal, is I am going to open the homework up for you today. You don't need to wait until Saturday, June 12th to do it. You can start working on it. I'll show you guys how to do that. And just somebody remind me in case I forget, but that's part of my syllabus is I'm going to show you how to get to all the cool stuff on Blackboard. We always do case studies. Sometimes they're worth no points. Sometimes they're worth a few points. So that's why I just kind of have points vary. But case studies are important to me. They tend to be the highlight of most students' AMP2 semester as well, because it really allows them to understand why they care about what they're learning. Like, they're real cases. Here's a real person. These are real symptoms. Why does the physiology that you're learning apply to the world you're going into? Case studies. That's a great question, Alyssa. Who can start a group me for everybody, including me? Get me involved in the group me as well. Nobody's jumping on it. Maybe somebody else will. Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much. All right, lab practicals. Each one's worth 52 points. There are 4 of those. There are no comp finals for lab practicals. If you miss one, you cannot make it up. So it's a pretty big hit. That's about 5% of your grade. So don't miss a lab practical, please. Lab safety quizzes, free points. Lab reports, we'll come back to that. You guys are going to be assigned groups. So we'll be doing most of the lab stuff tomorrow, where I'll be teaching you more about how the lab format will be. But every single physiology lab will have a lab report. Physiology means an experiment. Now, sucks because we're not in person, so we don't get to watch the frog heart beating, putting different chemicals on it so you can see how the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic nervous system works. You don't get to see it, but we're still going to discuss it. We're still going to, predict particular experiments, therefore why we use certain drugs in the real world. And those are worth 10 points each. And they're always, here's another due date for you guys. Lab reports are always due the next lab. That means that in summer, you have a lot of lab reports that are just going to be due relatively soon, one right after the other. So you can see that right here in my schedule, orange days are lab days. So anywhere that the date is in orange, that means that's a lab day. So May 31st should have been a lab day, but it's Memorial Day, so no lab. Tomorrow, June 2nd, we have a lab. What are we doing? Blood safety training, endocrine anatomy. Nothing's due because we haven't done anything. Next lab day is June 7th. So what's going to be due? Endocrine anatomy. Does that make sense? Always. It should be organized. There should be no confusion. There should never be confusion about the due dates. There always is, but I try to organize it so that there's not. So what are we doing June 7th? We're doing heart anatomy and dissection. So what's going to be due on June 9th? Cardioanatomy. So this is group study guide. We'll come back to that in just a second. June 9th, blood anatomy and hematology physiology lab. This is a hematology lab, so that's physiology. So you're going to have a blood anatomy study guide that's due the next lab, and a hematology lab report that's due the next lab. Is this all making sense? Anybody have any questions about the due dates for these things? Just yes, no. It's just a no. If anybody says, cool. All right, cool. Again, I'm trying to make sure everything is organized. Also in here, you'll know what's Unit 1 material, because I wrote Unit 1, Unit 1, Unit 1, Unit 1, Unit 2. So you're going to have a couple of days of lecture that are not a part of the Unit 1 exam. So just pay attention to this for when you're studying for your exams, okay? Try to make this as comprehensive as possible, but I can't type everything in. Extra credit. Dr. H, where can I get my extra credit? The extra credit are your study guides. So see anatomy. Those are not physiology days. Physiology days, you're going to have a lab report that's due. Anatomy days, you will always have a study guide that's due. And the study guide as your lab group, with your lab group. And you guys are going to be turning those assignments in via Blackboard. You're going to be sending me PDFs. And you're going to be getting extra credit. You'll be getting, now we'll end up coming over here. You're going to be getting 3 extra credit per study guide, which adds up. Okay, this is going to end up coming out to about 2% of your total grade. So imagine that you have an 88. You've earned an 88 in a class, but you've done all your study guides. Boom, now you got yourself your A. So it's a pretty big chunk of your grade. It really comes out. And since you're doing them as a group, we'll come back to that, but since you're doing them as a group, I need you guys to work on them as a group. So you're going to be doing lots of things online with one another, sharing your apps and stuff. So do it on something like a Google Drive. We'll talk more about that tomorrow because tomorrow's lab. I always throw in a few extra credit for lecture exams and stuff as well, but they don't count towards the big extra credits scheme of things. They just get thrown right into your exam grade. There's always a couple of points extra credit in your exams. Are there any questions about the grading scheme at all. Just this table right here. So what did I put together for you? If you read the syllabus and schedule, you'll notice that there was a tab on here. We'll go back here. So if you go to Blackboard, you click on syllabus and schedule, you'll see that there are 3 links. 2 of them are the docs. One's the syllabus, the other one's just the schedule, so you guys can print that guy off. Oh, thanks, Zuhar. I might need to have. I might need to have you text me that link if you don't mind. Is it Zuhar? I'm guessing Zuhar, right? Zuhair? Zuhar? Zuhair or Zuhar? Zuhair? Oh, Tariq. Okay, perfect. Cool, cool. All right, so the last one that's on here is called self-grade assessment. This is version 4. I've had to make a few versions. But what I've done is, this happened soon into online teaching. I kept on getting, listen, Blackboard is not a perfect format. Blackboard grading, the Blackboard grade sheet, it really isn't very good. It doesn't account for so many little points here and there through the semester. It can't account for the 150 points per unit exam. It cannot subtract, that I know of, it cannot subtract the lowest exam grade from your score. So I just put together an Excel sheet. I'm pretty good with Excel, so I started just throwing some code in, and basically all you'll need to do when you, so can everybody please open up that assessment sheet just so you can look at it. Try to pay attention. Because this thing is going to be a lifesaver for this class and potentially other classes. If you know how to use Excel, you can just change a few things on this sheet. When you guys first log in, you're probably going to be down here on the what's called the instructions tab. You're not AMP1 class, so go over here and click on AMP2 grades. So there's tabs down on the bottom left. Click on AMP2 grades. The only column that you need to write anything in is the blue column. You could ignore every other column. You don't need to worry about those. The only ones that you place your grade in is the blue column. Don't touch the total possible points, points earned, definitely not H. That's my code right there. So you guys can just disappear that. And so for your exams, you're just going to start typing in, for instance, your grades. So let's say you earned a 75 on the first one. Boom. What do you got in the class? Well, that's your only grade, so you got a 75%. Make sense? 35 out of 40 on your homework. Let's just say, lab reports are done as a group, so they're pretty darn easy. We get free points at the beginning of the semester, and I don't know, 41. So there's the first unit. Boom, just done right there. You're going to probably have some extra credit. So after the first unit, even with the 75%, you have an 81.5% in the class. I always make it so that lecture exams are weighted. They're a big part of your final score, but there's always ways to boost your grade. So don't think, imagine now this is an 85. Well, now you're looking at, a high B as part of your class grade. I don't know if this is making sense. I'm kind of going to apologize, but that's all you need to do is you just put your scores here for, 88, drop back down again. And what you'll notice is that it's kind of relative to the average on exams that you have. That's kind of going to end up determining your final grade. You'll end up filling the rest of these in. Do you guys notice that the grade is changing as I put in different grades? I guess is what I'm trying to get you guys to see. Pretty simple to do. And you can follow along through the semester. You can say, hey, is Dr. H trying to, pull my leg on my grade? What's he doing over there? What is that guy doing? Well, you don't ever need to doubt anymore. You can follow your grade automatically. There's no doubt in your mind of what your grade is. This is exactly the grade that I will be using. Does that seem pretty safe? Do you guys like this? Does it give you a peace of mind? So now what I'll want you guys to see is at the cumulative finals. Say for instance, I just bomb it, 55. Well, I said I drop your lowest exam grade. So did you guys notice that this didn't change? So again, I'll erase this. It's an 83.4. I put in a 55 here. It's still an 83.4. So I drop your lowest exam grade. So what if this is a 90? It can only help your grade. It can't hurt your grade. See what I'm saying? All right, cool. Please use this assessment sheet. You don't need to text me about your grades. Legally, I cannot talk to you about your grades via text or email. I can meet on Collaborate to talk about your grades, but I cannot text about your grades and I cannot email about your grades. There's, a whole confidentiality, literally I could lose my job for it. So I cannot text. I can say, you're doing good, but I can't text about scores and stuff like that. Is that clear? All right, cool. I hope this was helpful. I hope this will remain helpful. Again, you could use this in your other classes. So now, say for instance, you have a class with different unit exams. Now you can just come in and say, I don't know, maybe they only have 100 points possible on their exams rather than 100. So you just come in and change these, and boom, now you have a new spreadsheet. Their homework are worth 50. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, but you can change these total possible points to fit the class that you're taking, and you'll be able to deal with your grade that way. Cool? I don't know. I'm pretty proud of. I wish I would have done this back when I was in school. I had professors that just didn't give you a grade until you got them on your transcript. Okay, cool. I'm glad that's helpful. I know a few of you guys are gonna be like on it all the time. So, okay, it's 50 after. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. How do we take these exams? So that was a question from a little bit earlier. Are they going to be proctored? What's going on here? I know I didn't fill out on the online sheet very well this semester. That's my bad. To give you guys a heads up on stuff. Yeah, your FERPA. Exactly. I cannot discuss grades. So let's see here. Okay. So where are you going to take exams? On Blackboard. They are not proctored. They are open note. You're welcome. Online learning is hard enough. My tests are not going to be easy. I'm going to be asking you guys a lot of increase, decrease, no change questions. If this changes in the human body, what can we predict the human body to do in response? I'll be asking you a lot of those questions on my exams. You cannot find those answers online for the most part. You will have to know the material to be able to take my exams. I'm completely rewriting my exams this semester because I'm finding out all of these different online sources that students are using. Frustratingly so. We're going to come back to academic integrity in just a little bit. So where do we take our exams? pretty much everything for the entire semester can be found right here on Blackboard. So Collaborate is where you guys are now. Lecture material is found in this tab, Unit 1. All of your lectures are already posted. So all your PowerPoints for all your lectures are already posted. In addition, I have narrated PowerPoints where I take the same PowerPoint that we would be learning in lecture, and I literally just do a recording that has a narration on it. So if there's a concept you don't understand in class, you can go back, you could watch this narrated PowerPoint because I teach it slightly different in class than in the narrated PowerPoint. And maybe that'll help you learn the concept. So every single lecture is already posted all the way through Unit 4. You can see Unit 4, lots of narrated PowerPoints. I don't have the narrated PowerPoints for every lecture, but I do have it for most lectures. Every single lab is also already available to you. Every lab. All the lab reports. Do I change which, Melissa? The PowerPoints? I haven't. I might for endocrine. This I probably won't. Let's be honest. It's a lot of work. Yeah, I haven't for quite a while. Anyways, so some of these. Yep, absolutely. So what you'll notice is that some of these labs, cardiac lab report, stuff like that, lab 7, they're going to have lab reports that go along with them, and I'll be pointing those out a little bit more on Blackboard. These are not currently available to you, but these are going to be something that you guys are going to be working on as a group. These ones that say lab report, blood pressure lab report, or lab report blood pressure, these are going to be group assignments. So we'll be talking about those more in lab tomorrow. Lab group study guides. You guys are going to be submitting study guides for the anatomy. This is for extra credit, and you're going to be using this tab, Lab Group Study Guides, to do that submission. They are not currently available to you. I will unlock them, but when you guys are finally able to look at them, all you're going to do is you write a submission that says XYZ so-and-so person, okay, so we'll say Melissa submitted the extra credit. That's what I want you guys to write, is the person's name who submitted whatever, and then you're going to attach that file as a PDF. Once you attach that file as a PDF, you hit submit, and I can give you guys as a group, because this will be assigning groups for me, I'll be able to give you guys as a group the extra credit. That being said, I should have done one more thing here. I want you guys to tell me who did the work. So when you write this submission, you're going to say so-and-so submitted, and then you're going to say for X, Y, Z group members. If somebody doesn't do the work in the group, they don't get the extra credit. Is that clear? Yes or no? They have to participate if they want extra credit. And if they don't, be honest and just don't put their name down. Now, that being said, don't be a D-bag. Okay, don't be a D-bag. Say somebody normally works on them, but then they just have life that happens and they can't help for a particular one. They can say, I will do double my work next time. Can you please put me on that extra credit? You can say, sure, right? Understand humans. We don't always have time to do everything. So cover each other's back. Just like if it was a real job, sometimes they take care of you, sometimes you take care of them. Is that clear? You guys know the people I'm talking about. Those, the ones that don't do anything, that don't respond to group text messages and stuff like that. Those are the ones that they can't get extra credit. They shouldn't get extra credit. Exactly. Life is about compromise. So make sure you guys are compromising with one another. Okay. Homework and reviews. This is where you guys were going to be doing your homework assignments. So the ones that have the check mark and the X. I don't know why I went backwards, but whatever. X check mark. You'll be clicking on these homework assignments. You'll hit begin. Boom. There's your homework. Now, here's the deal. you guys get 2 submissions on your homework. How many submissions do you guys get on your homework? Good. I want to double check my options real quick. 1 second. So it's always going to score your last graded attempt, not the highest attempt. What this makes you do is if you're going to do your second submission, you better go in with an intent to do well. Does that make sense? Don't just go in to dink around. Homework is designed to help you study. These are going to be a big part of your study guide. So what you have is you have 2 weeks to get these done. I'm going to unlock this thing today. What you can do is you go in, you click continue, you press Control A, Control C, you copy all that over, and you drop it into a Word file. You can print it off, or you can work on it whenever you want. That's one option. The other option is just save all answers. You don't have to save and submit. So you can go in and you can work on stuff today, save all answers. You don't have to submit it. So you don't have to do it all at one time. You have 2 weeks to get it done. Does that make sense? Don't wait until Saturday at 5 p.m. to start, please. I'm begging you. I know some of you still will. Okay, just 1 second on that. Good question. Yes, yeah, Litzy, you'll be able to see answers literally at the due date. So Saturday at 6 p.m., the answers will be linked to your Blackboard account. You have to go in, you'll basically click on your tab here. When you click on this, you'll end up seeing your scores for your homework. So say, for instance, you got 38 out of 40. It will be a hyperlink. You click on that score and it'll take you to the answers. So what do we have going on here? Unit 1 review. So the review stuff is here. So like for instance, I have a review and a review key. This is just a compilation of some of my old in-person exams. So you can go through and you could literally do this review by hand. This is not graded. Anytime that you guys see something that says review, it is not graded. Review is review. It is not graded. Only the homework is graded. For Unit 1, I put your homework in a printable form already. I did not do that for any other units yet. But every other unit has a review. Some of them even have some study guides that go with it. Every single unit is going to have a homework. I have to go through, I don't know what's going on. This is a practice respiratory exam, a practice digestive digams. What the hell's going on there? Digestive exams, digams. Welcome to the digam. You'll find that I do a lot of those slips of tongue through the semester because I'm always trying to talk faster than I can keep up with. And there'll be other things like potential case studies that you guys will be graded on and stuff like that. So they're all in your homework and review tab. Are there any questions about that? You can ask them through the whole semester if you do have questions on that. All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you for the notes. Thanks for syllabus days, y'all, and you are interacting. I hope you guys see how cool that is. It's unique. It's not, you're not going to find this in a lot of classes. So please always stay on top of the interaction and you will learn. Exams and practicals are done here. Okay, exams and practicals. Unit 1 exam, Unit 1 lab practical, Unit 2 exam, Unit 2 lab practical, Unit 3 exam, so forth, so on. Okay, all of your exams will be done in this tab. When I release them, And I'll be releasing them typically on Fridays before your exam. So for people that cannot take it Saturday or Sunday, you can still take it Friday. You can take it before your homework is due. So you'll have multiple days to get it done. Great question. It just depends on the exam. So let's say, for instance, with Unit 1 exam here, I think I gave normally, 2 hours. Some of the exams I'll give 3 hours for, and other exams I'll only give 90 minutes for. It kind of just depends on the exam, Ashley. Kind of depends on, it also depends on the semester and how much I need to push you guys. Again, since it is open note, I want you guys to study before going to the exam. I'm going to show you guys a method for getting all the information into one spot in just a second. And Zahir, Tariq, can you text me that GroupMe? Is that possible? Oh, thank you so much. I didn't even look at my phone. Okay. So, always Saturdays, always Sundays. For homework is Saturdays, and then exams will always be due Sunday at midnight. Okay, you guys see where you're going to be doing each one of these things? Homeworks, exams, so forth, so on. Basically, all done in Blackboard, and you guys can ask me questions later. Now, this grouping of tabs down here, 2304 is a funny number. It's an innovative biology lab. These are called BIL. And what you'll notice is that, all of AMP1, there is these BIL modules, and then here for AMP2, there are BIL modules as well. I recommend going back and doing like the autonomic nervous system module, and then we're going to be starting with endocrine. These are just not even remotely required. You don't have to do these. These are just an additional way you can study. But these modules are great because you just read through them, you click start, and then it'll define endocrine overview, and you can just click on each button and do what you do as it goes, right? So it'll teach you about what's exo versus endo, and you hit continue. So it's just a nice way to be able to study this material. Hit arrows to go to the next one, right? And it'll actually bring up all these different parts of what is the endocrine system. I think these are super duper duper helpful, and I don't think students always find them. I mean, this is literally covering a huge portion, and then there's little concept checks throughout it just to make sure that you're paying attention and not just clicking forward. So everything down in this tab is just for extra helpful stuff. Nothing is required. Like all of my lectures from AMP1 and labs from AMP1, they're here. I'm going to go back and look through those. Not many people, but it's available in case you want them. All right. Hopefully you guys at least use these modules. They're really, really helpful. Am I still there? Did I lose you? Bueller? 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 All right, the last tab that I haven't talked about is Common Core Objectives, the CCOs. Okay, Common Core Objectives are the group of objectives that all professors have to teach from. Let me put this into perspective. I had these Common Core Objectives that a panel of professors got together and said, we must teach about this, we must teach about this, we must teach about this, so forth, so on down the road. We can't teach about this, and we need to assume that the students come with these concepts already to class. So technically, with these assumptions, I should not need to go back through this material and reteach it to you. You better believe I'm going to, because I can't leave anybody behind. Some of you haven't taken AMP1 for many years, maybe? Has anybody in here not taken when did you guys take AMP1? How about that? Let's go ahead and do that interactive question. Last semester is always great. I love hearing that. Somewhat fresh on your mind. Spring, semester. Nice. Oh, Ben. I love Ben. Bernard is great. He's young. He went to Washington State University too for his PhD work. in nutrition. Anyways, these are technically study guides. Now, that being said, I would prefer for you guys not to use them as the only study guide. I've had too many students that go in here, they answer each one of these questions, and they think that's good enough for their exams, and it's not. The reason why is because these are very broad-based questions. Define endocrine system, define endocrine gland. And if you just go through and do those definitions, you're not actually learning what the endocrine system is all about. You're just defining something. Does that make sense? You guys know what I'm talking about as students? Describe the major functions of the endocrine system. Now we're starting to combine the definition of the endocrine system with what it does. Now we're starting to cook with butter. But if you don't connect those dots together, you're not going to be able to use this information, say, for instance, when we get to the renal system. And I start saying, how is the body going to communicate over long distances? Well, let's go ahead and ask that question. What two systems? Yeah, it won't help with case studies at all. What two systems? Remember, body systems. Skeletal systems, muscular systems, so forth, so on. What two systems of the human body can help you communicate over a distance? Nervous is great. Yeah. Rebecca, slam, dunk. Go ahead. Everybody else keep typing. Just because you see the answer doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue, because it's all about muscle memory. The two systems that can communicate over a distance are endocrine system, hormones go into the bloodstream, and nervous system, electricity shooting throughout the body. If you're not able to make that connection, the rest of the semester becomes extremely difficult. Make sure that you understand, even though there's tons of things to define, that simple concept right there will take you a long way. And I'll be teaching you guys in this kind of fashion. So CCOs, big, huge list of CCOs for endocrine system. Are they helpful? Sure. Should you go through and say, did Dr. H talk about the anatomical relationship between the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary? The answer should be check. If Dr. H didn't talk about it, well, Dr. H isn't doing his job. But it might not always be in a direct fashion. So don't accept, and there might be like a few places like amplification that you're going to have to go into the lecture itself and do that yourself. So I hope this makes sense. Don't use these as a direct study guide, but I do recommend looking through them to prepare for your exam. Yes, no? Sí or no? All right. I appreciate you guys already. You're a very interactive group. I hope you guys can keep up that same interaction and enthusiasm through the semester. It will help. It will help. It will help. I promise. And I will continue to try to keep this level of energy. Some days are harder than others. Like I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, so I'm a little tired. I'm not gonna lie. And that thunderstorm was pretty nasty. I got 2 kids, so they were awake and climbing in my bed at 4 a.m. Not 4 a.m. So, all right. How old are my kids? 4 and 19 months. So just little midgets. 4 years old, 19 months. They are my sweet sweets. Yeah, exactly, Alyssa. So I feel your pain. Probably pretty tired. Mama bears are always tired, though. Dads always think that we have it tough, but we don't. We don't really believe that. We know moms do like the large majority of the work. Kind of sucks, but kids just love mamas. All right, let's start learning. We only got about 10, 19-ish minutes. Sometimes I'll go a little bit over lecture, just so you guys know. You better believe I'm going to get you guys going ASAP. ASAP. ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. So, lecture, Unit 1, endocrine. You guys can actually go through. I have a brief explanation of the syllabus. It should kind of work no matter what semester you're taking my class. So if there are other parts of the syllabus to go through, I will go through some of those with you in this brief explanation, but I still don't cover the entire syllabus. That's just crazy to even think about. Review material. I throw in a bunch of YouTube links. Copy, paste. And what you'll notice is these go to course. That's very loud. Who here has already used Crash Course? Yeah, hanksthebomb.com. Yes, I know that's like 1998, but still. Hank, this guy, if I could be Hank, I would. This guy's got energy, he's got brains, he's articulate and funny, and he really gets these lessons done in a very short period of time. I don't like reading these things down here because they're like, man, my professor spent an hour and a half on this, and this guy got it done in 10 minutes. Well, no shit. It takes an hour and a half to go through the basic concepts. And then what do you do with Crash Course is when you watch Crash Course, it uses those key words that you learned in class. And you now have those key words in your brain, and now when he talks about them and has animations on them and stuff, yeah, he's about as good as it gets in terms of this. And of course his brother does physics and all sorts of stuff. So these two guys were very smart. 12.4 million subscribers. Good stuff, dude. So all of those links, Ninja Nerd's actually my favorite, Jennifer, but students don't tend to want to sit for an hour, 40, 50-minute lecture. So, I did not know that, Melissa. That's cool. I didn't know they had a kids option for that's for Crash Course. Oh, awesome.
It's really similar. I forget which one I heard about it, but they do have one geared towards kids, and I have an 8-year-old, so I'm excited about showing her that.
That's perfect. I love that. Great to know. So each one of these Crash Course links here, chemistry, membrane transport, osmosis, action potentials, synapses, autonomic nervous system, huge one, sympathetic versus parasympathetic. Y'all want to get an A in this class? Who here wants to get an A? Who here does not want to get an A? Go ahead, be honest. Everybody wants and deserves an A. If you want an A in this class, you have to understand these concepts. End of story. If you don't understand the difference between a polar and a nonpolar molecule, you are going to have a very difficult time. I'm going to reteach it to you, so don't stress. But these crash courses are great for it because they get you through it. They animate it so that you have a visual to go with all these word cues, and it's really nice. And maybe there's something from A&P1 that you don't remember. Maybe, just perhaps, maybe, like everything from A&P1 you probably have forgotten. Everybody wants it, and I want everybody to get it. Honestly, I don't care if the other professors think that, some professors are easy A's per se. I'm not an easy A, but you can definitely earn an A in my class. You show up on the regular, you follow me in class and answer me in class and be interactive, you're going to learn. I promise. Promise. I promise. I promise. All right. And by using this information, come on, open Skeskami. By using all this background information, you guys are going to be able to start up on the endocrine system. And we're going to start up on it today. We're going to just spend a couple of minutes on it. Yes, Melissa. Oh, lowered your hand. Got it.
Dr. Hudson, I wanted to follow up with the tutoring. Did you, I know I got a lot of help last semester with Katie Winters, and
I
10
think they're
p.m.?
still. I think they're still available. I have an email. Let me write a note to myself. I have some emails from the department for tutors, and I need to go find that email, and then I can link it for y'all.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
No problem. Text reminders and all that sort of stuff in case I'm not able to get to it ASAP. Pretty please. Info on tutors. All right. Endocrine 1. Endocrine 1. So all I want you guys to be doing today, tonight, being ready for tomorrow's class, I want you guys to start to think about what the heck the endocrine system is all about. So first thing, Latin is important. So who knows what endo means? Inside, within. Inner works for me, just in works for me. Anything that lets you know that it's within, okay? Within. Crin, anybody know what that means in Latin? C-R-I-N-E. What does that mean in Latin? And just say, I don't know, or, you know, WTF, Dr. H. Doesn't mean shit, Dr. H. It's a bunch of letters. No idea. Perfect, Andrea. Is it Andrea or Andrea? Oh, just Andy. I love it. Okay, I will try to remember that. Just remind me every once in a while. I was like, it's Andy, dude. It means to secrete. So crin means to secrete. Endo means within. Sweet. So now we're starting to get something. Endocrine versus exocrine versus paracrine versus, you guys get the point, right? Halocrine. There's all sorts of crins, but anytime you guys see the word crin, now you know something is secreting. Yes, no, maybe so? It's a powerful thing knowing a base understanding of Latin, and I'll keep teaching you guys it through the semester. Endo, within. Within what? What? Within what? Why endocrine versus exocrine? Great, the body. Yes and no. You're not wrong, but you're not right. You're not wrong, but you're not right. What did we just say? What are the two systems that help transport and communicate over a distance in the human body? Let's go ahead and answer that again. Wonderful, fast. You guys just go E and N or something like that. I'll know what you're talking about. So endocrine, how, everybody? How does the endocrine communicate over a distance? What is it putting hormones into? Acetylcholine is not part of your typical endocrine. Tariq, we'll get there in just a second. Rebecca, great. Hormones in bloodstream. Veronica, wonderful. Alyssa, wonderful, wonderful. So where are those hormones going? Into the blood. So endocrine, within secretion, it's saying it's going into the bloodstream. So exocrine. What does exo mean in Latin? Exo. Outside. So what a lot of students immediately think of is that it's secreting outside the body, but that's not right. It's just not secreting into the blood. So exocrine are going inside of your stomach, for instance, inside of your small intestines. Does that make sense? It's not going into the blood. Endocrine is into the blood. The rest of those crins are not going into the blood. They're doing other things. I hope that's helpful. The importance of knowing just what that word is it literally can give us a lot of relationship with these chemicals now, these hormones that somehow get transported into the bloodstream. And then the bloodstream can take them where? Really easy, open-ended question. Where's blood going? Yeah, the answer is everywhere. Everywhere. You can't pronounce that V. It's got to be everywhere. Dude, Alyssa, I love target organs. Thank you so much. We'll get there in just a second. Yeah, Tariq definitely can go to the heart, and then the heart beats and it sends that blood everywhere. So the hormone system, this endocrine system, is able to communicate to every single organ and every single tissue in the human body. That's powerful. Why is that different than the nervous system? The nervous system has these single axons that go to communicate with a very specific group of cells. Yes, no? When the endocrine system gets triggered, boom, the blood gets flooded with chemicals. So to go back to Alyssa's answer about target organs, how do our cells and how do our tissues and how do our organs respond to hormones? Is every single organ in the human body going to respond to every single hormone in the human body? I love that you're already answering this question. The answer was actually not no, it's hell nah, not a chance. There are so many organs that do not respond to specific hormones. Why not? What do those organs, what do those tissues, and what do those cells, what do they have that allows them to respond to a hormone that other organs don't have? Beautiful. Does this make sense to everybody? Receptors, 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 receptors. AMP1, receptors, receptors, receptors. So what makes a target organ, where is this slide? What makes a target organ a target organ? What makes a target cell? Because actually everything happens at the cellular level, not at the organ level. What makes a target cell a target cell? I'm going to ask this question 2.5 trillion times this semester. What makes a target cell a target cell? The answer is, go ahead and write it one more time for me. That's the answer. Everybody in the class, all 19 of you that are there and focused on your keyboard, receptor. This is one of the basic concepts that will help you this semester. Because I guarantee you that if we're talking about a hormone or a neurotransmitter or a neurohormone or any chemical, if a chemical is going to interact and create a cell signaling cascade, what must be there for that chemical to have an impact? A receptor. This goes for all stimuli. How are you going to respond to changes in blood pressure? Got to have a receptor. What's going to happen if we have changes in osmolarity? Got to have a receptor. You guys, are you on this? One of the most important, one of the most basic concepts in biology and physiology is the fact that in order for the body to respond to things, they have to have specific receptors for those. And I'm pretty much every test question that you guys are going to learn this semester is going to get you to think about either the chemical or the receptor, and then the cellular response that comes about. Again, the two ways the body communicates over the distance: nervous system, endocrine system. Lovely. What's the difference between the two? Nervous system so fast. We're talking lightning bolts, right? Boom. 200 milliseconds, done. Endocrine system, minutes to days. Days. I'm not joking around, days. This will be extremely important in your future careers. We see a patient often the same day that something bad happens to them, and then we release them. The same day that they come into the hospital, we release them. But what if their hormone system changes over a 3-day period of time? When are they going to start seeing some of those real adverse side effects? 3 days later. And you're not going to know about it. You have to predict it. Does that make sense? Exactly, Alyssa. If you're EMS, man, awesome. So it's really important to understand that the body does not control everything right now. A lot of things are going to happen over days. Now, effectors for the nervous system versus the endocrine system, they're the same. Okay, just all the cells of your body can either be controlled by the nervous system or the endocrine system. All right, we're pretty much almost done. The one last thing that I want to remind you guys on is that as a control system goes, the winner chicken dinner is always going to be the nervous system. If it has direct innervation of an organ, it can override any of your hormone system. This is a good thing for survival, and yeah, veto power. And this is a bad thing for humans because of our, let's just call it social anxiety. Life is hard, and it's harder for humans than it needs to be. There's a great textbook, not textbook, there's a great book out there for anybody that's super nerdy. It's called, which is me, by the way, it's called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And it's written by this guy, Rob Sapolsky, who he's this professor at Stanford. I don't know if he's still teaching there, but he was a neuroscientist that studied baboons and baboon social interactions and how stressful life is in a community setting like that versus zebras who have just one thing that they have to worry about in life, which is making sure they're not prey for something. And of course they need to get enough water and enough food, but they don't have the same social stressors that primates and humans do. And that really messes us up over time because the nervous system can be disrupted very easily in our systems. And we all know this, right? Limbic system. Who has test anxiety here? Who gets test anxiety? Raise your hand. I want everybody to know that you're not alone. Look around, okay? You're not the only one. You're not the only one. It's just the reality of life. And here's the deal. We're almost done. I know I said that like 4 minutes ago. We're almost done. What part of your body is causing, I guess, how do I want to ask this? From AMP1, reach back into your knowledge base, and let's think about what type of system is causing test anxiety. What system in your body is causing test anxiety? It's a little bit of a strange question, I know, but think of your AMP1 systems that you've already learned about. Oh man, yeah, perfect. Melissa, you jumped right into it. This is the autonomic nervous system. This is the autonomic nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system is fight or flight, rest and digest. Fight or flight is what's causing test anxiety. And the reality is you've adapted and evolved for survival. And your body has no idea that that's a test sitting in front of you per se. Your brain knows, but your body doesn't. So what test anxiety is, it's your body telling you that there's a lion that's about ready to jump on your back. And who here wouldn't be terrified of a lion sneaking up behind them? Raise your hand if you would not be scared. Exactly. Does that make you feel a little bit more comfortable with your test anxiety? Probably not. But do you understand that you cannot control your test anxiety? Because the nervous system is overriding the rest of your body. Does that make sense? The link between the story that I'm trying to get at. It's a really important subject, a really important topic, and we're going to be dealing with it through the entire semester. We're going to be talking about nervous controls, and we're going to be talking about endocrine controls. And then you're going to go out in the real world, and you're going to go and you're going to be super confident that you understand medicine, and then every damn patient that you see is going to respond differently than what you expected, because physiology, well, we can't predict for different humans very well. Does that make sense? You're going to go in and you're going to think you know everything, and you're going to have the basic understanding of it, and you can predict a lot of things, but each person is going to respond differently, and that's because their nervous system and their endocrine system aren't functioning as you would expect them to. Okay, cool. I hope this gave you a nice just intro to what endocrine secretion within the blood even means, and how that associated with target cells and receptors. And tomorrow, we will dive even further into the endocrine system. I'm going to just briefly talk about chemicals tomorrow. And then we are going to be skipping some of these chemical things because I have narrated PowerPoints for signal transduction. This is AMP1 material. So if you want to come prepared for tomorrow's class, I highly recommend that you at least watch the signal transduction narrated PowerPoint. And then the narrated endocrine 3 PowerPoint would also be a nice one for you to be able to look at. What did I do with endocrine 2? I don't have a narrated for that. Let me just double check this real quick. Okay, and then this is a fun one. So yeah, this is actually going to take a lot of our tomorrow's lecture. So we'll get back to this. Although it doesn't look like there's very many slides, the way that I teach it, there will be quite a few slides. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I am all done. I know it's a few minutes after. It's going to be summer class. I'll try to be done on time most days, but first day with the syllabus and stuff, I just needed a little bit extra time to introduce what I wanted to introduce. If there are any questions, text me. Besides that, get on out of here. Later, y'all. You're very welcome. I love how interactive you guys are in chat. Keep it up.